Me again. Hey, I want to be vastly unpopular and probably a pariah the next video, but regardless, needs to be said. Yeah, this is yesterday's news talking about Trump administration going to police speech in reaction to Kirk's killing. And you have Pam Bondi saying that hate speech isn't free speech. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay to celebrate the death of a man or a woman, but I remember the time where it's okay. It was okay to celebrate that. What changed? What changed? What's going on? Well, if you still are under the delusion that there is a Democrat and Republican Party and they're independent and they're working for you, I hate to tell you this, but you're caught in something that you need to get out of. You are entangled in something massive. What am I saying? Well, if things are happening and you vote Democrat, and they take you down this path, and it's like they pass these bills that they want African American men in jail for crack, and it's, oh, I don't like where this is going. I'm going to vote Republican. And then a Republican will take you by the hand and take you down a trail. And it's like, whoa, 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 what's this? Patriot Act? What's this? I don't like it, so I'm going to vote Democrat. Then the Democrat take you by the hand and take you down a trail, and it's like, whoa, whoa, what's this? I'm losing more and more freedom. There is no right wing and left wing, unless you're talking about the right wing and left wing of a two-headed bird. I'll explain that in a minute. But you all need to come out of this delusion. You need to come out of this optic. But because by the time you realize that you're being oppressed, it's going to be too late. And even then, when you have some of y'all, when you have a boot on the back of your neck, some of y'all still going to be worried if is it a right boot or a left boot. But it don't matter. It's the same person with a boot on your neck. Don't matter if it's right or left. But some of y'all are still going to be arguing about it. Now, that said, why is it not okay to talk about Charlie Kirk's death when it was alright to talk about Osama bin Laden's death? Well, it's because he's a Christian, and he speaks Christianese, and I like Christians, and they say what Christian things I like to hear. But, folk, you need to realize that everyone that says they're a Christian is not a Christian. But you fall for this stuff all the time. I don't care if he's an evangelical and he says things that are God and I love him and no. This ain't the first time. This is not the first time this has happened. Hey, you remember this guy? You remember Russell Brand? But he got baptized and y'all went nuts. He's a Christian speaking Christianese and I love him. But he tells you who he is. He still calls his show the 33. He still has 33 tattooed on his wrist. But you all still paw over him. And you don't even look into his theology. What's his theology? Well, his brand of Jesus. Now, I don't say Jesus off, I don't use Jesus. I say Christ. We all heard me. And I might explain that in this video or next video. But he says Jesus. But his Jesus is not Jesus of the King James Version Bible Jesus. His Jesus is an ascended master, and that he tells you this. He has his gurus on all the time with their little red dots and tell you can be like Christ, you can be Christ-like. But his Christ is not, his ascended master is not above the floorboards. Their Jesus is the lowest form of ascended masters. There are much higher ascended masters than Jesus. Jesus ain't nothing. That's spitting in Christ's face. But you all paw over him because he got baptized. He did a Christian thing, so y'all go nuts. But this ain't the first time this has happened either. Hey, you remember this guy with his church? And everybody had all these debates. Is he really a Christian? Is Kanye West a Christian? And it got to the point, it got so heated that you even had one of your own, Justin Peters, had to make a public announcement to come out and say he apologized for saying Kanye West wasn't a Christian. What? But y'all do it. But y'all don't even question that theology. What was that church, that open-air church based on? Well, that open-air church, he was walking on water and mocking Christ's miracles. Saying, look, I can do this too. I can walk on water. But if you look, once again, they will show you who they are. They will show you, hey, look at this here, or look at this here. They will show you who they are. These hand signals are important, and I'll explain that later on in the video too. But y'all just don't grasp it. Justin Bieber's another example. Now, I had a friend of mine say that just because somebody that Kurt said that Christ is Lord, and Christians are the only ones who can say that, the devil people can't say it. Folk, Kenneth Copeland has also said Christ is Lord. Does he look like a good Christian example? Is this man a good Christian example? This man's a Freemason. All these people you see on here are Freemason. You got Billy Graham's a Freemason. Robert Schuller's a Freemason. Pat Robertson's a Freemason. Kenneth Copeland, he's a Freemason. All these people are 33-degree Freemasons. You got Copeland, who even preaches from a Freemason Bible. Yeah, Oral Roberts, Falwell, all of them are Freemasons. Now, why do they tell you that they're Freemasons or let known? Well, they have to. It's this thing called law of consent. And if they don't tell you, then they get this other law that comes back on them. This law of karma, that they'll get whatever they want put on you back tenfold. So they have to tell you. Now, some people say, well, a Freemasonry is just a good old boy fraternity club. No, it's not. It's a religion. It's a religion. I'll prove that here in a bit. Let's go on here. Now, with this, I want to point out that Charlie Kirk, well, before I get to Charlie Kirk, let's look at Freemasonry in the Baptist community. Baptists, particularly the Southern Baptist Convention, are historically members of Freemasonry. And then it shows here a whole bunch of Freemasons that have been pastors and whatnot of the Baptist set. So Baptists align with Freemasonry. Now, why is that important? Well, because you had Charlie Kirk align himself with the Baptist doctrine. Just hang on, hang with me here. Let me get to the end on it before you go, oh, just because that don't mean he's a Freemason. I got more. But anyway, with this stuff with the Charlie Kirk and Baptist, he was with Liberty University. Now, you know anything about Liberty University? It's like the hub of Baptist doctrine and teaching. It's a Baptist university. Now, him and Falwell Jr. had this thing called Falkirk Center. And they had donated, the Falkirk Center had donated $50,000 to Trump on a re-election campaign. Why only $50,000 when you have Charlie Kirk worth over $500 million, $500 million? Why just that much? Well, because the Falkirk Center had to go under. It went under in disgrace. Why? Because one of its co-founders, Jerry Falwell Jr., about this time, he got caught plugging the hose with his pool boy, if you catch my drift, and he had to leave in disgrace. And I remember when that came out, it's like, look, this person says he's a Christian, but he ain't a Christian. And it's like, oh, that's because, if he was a true Christian, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do that, Rose. Oh my goodness. Regardless, getting back on topic. So he had Charlie Kirk over here align himself with the Baptist doctrine. Now, what's he aligned with now? He's aligned himself with some Rob What's-His-Face, who's a Pentecostal. I don't know many people who go from Baptist to 50 Cent or Pentecostal Holy Roller just like that. I don't know many people who do that. And also with the oneness doctrine versus the Trinity, he changed his doctrine on that by the company he keeps. But regardless, let's get back to about him being a Freemason, which is where I'm going. Now, why does it matter about if he's a Freemason or not? It's like, Rose, just because you point out Baptists and Freemasons, why is that important? Well, this is important. If you look at the Albert Pike letter to Manzini, This is why. Albert Pike was a Scottish Rite Freemason, a general in the Confederate Army. When Albert Pike Memorial in D.C. was being destroyed, that's the only time Trump ever had the guard called out. And they're going to put that Confederate General Memorial back up in D.C. And it's not about the Confederacy, it's about his Freemasonry. Pike was the one who, quote, prophesied, end quote, the 3 world wars. He didn't prophesy it, it was scripted. Let's go over this, and maybe you'll see where I'm going with it. I'm going to abbreviate it, give you a summary, but here it is, and read it in its fullness. With the First World War, they want to bring out the Illuminati. Now, is the Illuminati different than the Freemasons? No, the illuminated ones, the one who are illuminated by Lucifer, is the Illuminati. But they are going to overthrow the Tsars in Russia, because the Tsars was a strong Christian nation, Russia was, and they're going to make it a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergencies or agents of the Illuminati are going to use the British and Germanic empires to get this war going. At the end of the war, communism be built and used to destroy the governments in order to weaken the religions. Now, notice he's talking about religions. Now, how do they get this going on? Well, they use this thing called the Pilgrim Society. The Pilgrim, Stalin and all that, they were in this thing called Pilgrim Society that they used to overthrow the Tsars. Now, why is that important? Well, the Bolsheviks, during the Bolshevik Revolution, over 80% were these kamikaze Jews, and they decided to overthrow it, and they murdered. The numbers are, there's not anything exact, it's from 20 million to 60 million Christians. Now, this Pilgrim Society is still going today. You have prominent members like J.D. Vance, who are members of the Pilgrim Society. Another prominent member is Kamala Harris. So regardless if you voted right wing or left wing, you were going to get a Pilgrim Society member in government. So this is why it's important to take that veil off. Now, getting back to these Pike letters, if you go to the Second World War, they're going to get the differences between the fascists and political Zionists. There we go, the political Zionists. Once again, these kamikaze Jews, or political Zionists, right? I guess that's separate from the kamikazes, but regardless, they're going to bring this about so Nazism is destroyed and that political Zionism is strong enough to institute a sovereign native Israel in Palestine. Now, during the First World War, during this, they had this thing called the Balfour Declaration, where you had a Rothschild sign with England saying they can have Palestine. And then after the Second World War, in 1948, you had the founding of the Israeli state in Palestine. See how this is coming together? It ain't like it just happened, and it's not happenstance. Now, during the Second World War, the communism must be strong enough in order to balance Christendom. It will be restrained and held in check until the time when we would need them for a final social cataclysm. Here's this final social cataclysm. That's the Third World War. Now, during this, they're going to get their agentors, and they're going to get their political Zionists and the Islamic world, and they're going, this is how it's going to be. You're going to have your political Zionists, and you're going to have your Islam nations, and they're going to get those two factions to destroy each other. Now, you got United States aligned with Israel, and you got all these laws showing it. I mean, right now, you got 250 federal lawmakers over in Israel wearing little beanie hats and humping a wall and trying to bring about this thing called 50 states into Israel. And then you got China saying that they strongly align with Palestine. So there's your lines drawn. There's who's going to be in the world wars, in case you want to know. So anyway, getting back to this. That's where the lines are drawn. Meanwhile, other nations, once divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and atheists and provoke the formidable social cataclysm in which the honor will blow clearly to the nations and effect absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries and examine these destroyers of civilizations, a multitude of disillusions with Christianity, whose dissolute atheists will form that movement without compass or direction, anxious for the ideal, but not knowing where to go or render its adoration, will receive the true light through universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought out to the public view. Now, what are they saying is going to happen? You're going to have these atheists and Christians are going to kill each other. That's what they want. They don't want no atheists. They don't want Christians. Christians are going to be so disillusioned because they're going to say God turned their back on them, that they're going to turn their back on God, and they're going to turn toward Lucifer. And they're going to be a Lucifer. You know, everybody here, everybody alive is going to be Lucifer worship. Now, if you go to the UN and you read Lucifer Trust, and you read the UN founding documents, you will see they know that Lucifer time is short. Satan's time is short. And that they have to come up with something to get God to turn his back on this world. And so if you get rid of the Christian and atheists, God won't have to come back. And then he will allow this world to be handed over to Lucifer. And Lucifer and his minions can reign on this world and be happy. That's the plan. I mean, that's even in the UN documents. So I'm not telling you anything that's like, oh, this is crazy. This is what is in the documents. So you have these people who are in this society, Pilgrim Society, other societies. But you're going to say, Charlie Kirk was a real Christian and he's not a Freemason. Charlie Kirk has got Freemasonry all over him and Trump. So let's go over some of that stuff. Let's go ahead and get this right here off. Let's see, I don't even think this was supposed to be on there. So let's go on. So you got Charlie Kirk is like I say, he's not a Christian. He's Freemason. Also, people like Tucker Carlson are also Freemasons. I want to point this out. This is a little something. You notice Tucker Carlson, he wears this little outfit. He used to wear this little outfit. Now he changed over to this uniform. He's just a country folk wanting to fish and hunt with his kids. And what is he? He's not a Methodist. He's a frozen chosen Pentecostal. Not Pentecostal. What is that? Presbyterian. He's a Presbyterian. He's a good Christian man. But he's got this little red string on his wrist. What is that little red string? What is it? It is the celebrity Kabbalah. No string is attached except for to the wrist. It's talking about Jewish mysticism. The Kabbalah. Oh, that word's important. Remember it. This stuff is so important to these people that you have to be 40-year-old before you can actually wear this little string and get involved in it. But if you notice with Charlie Kirk, oh, please tell me I had a Charlie Kirk thing. I probably didn't. Let's just go over here. I think this is why I had it. If you look over here, Charlie Kirk always wore these little red bracelets. These little red bracelets. Everywhere he went, he wore these little red bracelets. Why is he wearing these little red bracelets and not the Kabbalah string? Well, he's not. He was only 31-year-old. You have to be 40-year-old before you can wear the string. So he's wearing this in place of, as representative of. Now, this Kabbalah thing is important. Here it is, this Kabbalah. This is what Freemasonry is about, is this tree of life. This is Jewish mysticism, Golden Dawn and all that other stuff. What is above is, as above, so below, tree of life stuff. This is just Jewish Kabbalah magic. This is Freemasonry. If you go here, if you look down here, this is out of a 2021 issue of Fraternal Review. This is a Masonic paper entitled The Kabbalah and Freemasonry. And they talk about how important this Kabbalah magic is in Freemasonry. They even have this stuff where they have They have a noose around the neck saying you're born again when you become an apprentice. The necktie is representative of that umbilical cord and all this, that you're born into the Luciferian family. And they have all these rituals they go through. And when you even get to the 33rd degree, you can marry yourself a little boy and then start in sex magic. So you got all this stuff going on. But it's all tied into this magic cabal, this mystic magic stuff that the Jewish stuff goes on. Now, before you're like, hey, he's only wearing a little string, Rosie. How's Tucker Carlson a Freemason? Well, here he is doing a Masonic handshake with McGregor, and oh, yeah, that's kind of important because this is Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Kirk, Tucker, McGregor, Trump, they're all involved in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. But here you got him over here doing this, doing the little handshake. Also, Tucker Carlson's daddy is a CIA agent, or he did. Oh, I don't know if he wasn't a CIA. Oh, yeah, I found out he was. That's horse crap. You knew he was a CIA agent. Tucker Carlson even helped in overthrowing Venezuela at one point. And so he's involved with the CIA. He applied for the CIA. And he's also a part of Freemasonry. He's got that Kabbalah magic stuff going on. He's wearing a little wristband. Now, how's this involved with Tucker Carlson? Now, here's the announcement where Kash Patel came out and said they caught the man. Now, notice that they happened to do this in Utah, and their state flag just happens to be a beehive. The beehive is a hive mind. It was so important. That's so important in Freemasonry that George Washington has that on his family apron. It's so important. So right there it is. Right here it is, right in your face. But let's listen to what Kash Patel says.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk. Rest now, brother. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla.
What an odd thing to say to a Christian man. I'll see you in Valhalla. Not in heaven, not resting with Christ, but Valhalla. Couple of important things he says. My brother. They call each other brother. Are you in the Brotherhood? That's what Freemasonry is. We have the watch. We have your watchmen out. So they're now the watch. We'll see you in Valhalla. What is Valhalla? Valhalla is Freemasonry talk to when they have somebody that's, quote, offed, or rather exit stage left. They go to this place that isn't on a map. It's on Earth, but it isn't on a map, and they call it Valhalla. It's called Valhalla. This is stuff that was out 20 years ago. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. So why is Kurt in Valhalla instead of heaven? Well, he's off in a place where no plebes are going to be able to see him and report him. He's resting safe among people who are also Freemasons, who got his back, got his secret, because everything's secret in a secret society. But that's so odd. I mean, that's right there in your face. Now, what does Kurt think about Freemasonry? Now, we just read over that letter that Freemasonry is worship of Lucifer. It's not a good boys club. It's not a fraternity. The end game is worshiping Lucifer. So what does Kirk think about this?
What do you think about the Freemasons? I've seen a lot of conspiracies and a lot of good stuff. I don't have strong opinions about it, honestly. It could be right. I've known some people that have been Masons that have just been like regular, everyday people, but I'm open-minded. What do you think about the Freemasons?
So he's open-minded about Luciferians? What? He's open-minded about that? That's crazy. I hope y'all see that no Christian person would say anything about that. It's crazy. They could be right. The Luciferians could be right. Would a Christian say that? Would a Christian say that? You guys are crazy. Another thing I want to point out, even his wife is all over not Christianity. His wife is all over Freemasonry. Let's go to her. Erica Kirk, if you read up here, her paternal grandfather, Carl Kenneth Frazee, Frizzil, I know I'm butchering that name, he was honored with a knighthood by Sweden's Carl Gustaf for his contributions to the Independent Order of Vikings. That's a Freemason society. That's a Scottish Rite society. She has a family apron. If your family has it, you're born into it. Her family is of the highest order of Freemasonry. People, she's got a family family apron. Now, is that saying that she's a Freemason or whatnot? Well, women cannot be a Freemason, but they can be a Morning Star in the Morning Star order, or they can be what they call a Rainbow Girl. Now, I'm going to say with her, she's probably a Rainbow Girl since it's Scottish Rite. It's more higher ups, and with Scottish Rite, I'm going to say she's a Rainbow Girl. But she's not the only one who would talk about Freemasonry and stuff. This is let me stop it. This is Candace Owens talking about Ben Shapiro wanting to take over Kirk's reign with going into campuses and stuff. Now, notice what she says. This is Candace Owens.
Going to replace Charlie Kirk. Okay. Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual. Okay. I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
She is one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. Now, Candace Owens, if you know, she's a Christian. She says Christ is Lord. She says Christ is King. She has an organized marriage with a Rothschild. They only met like 2 weeks, and then she married a Rothschild over in England. But she is a Freemason of Turning Point, or she's a Mason of Turning Point. That's a very odd thing to say, isn't it? That's crazy. She's a Mason of Turning Point. So there's another little cog in it, another wheel cog thing. Now, with Charlie Kirk, he was all over Trump. And people want to say, well, Trump isn't a Freemason. Well, he does all the Masonic stuff. He does all this stuff. And if you look over here with the Masonic, that's a 32-degree eagle. Let me find the 33. With the 33-degree eagle, this is the eagle of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. And then everybody's, Trump isn't a Freemason, just a Kirk. They didn't wear it. It's a secret society, but they have to tell you who they are. And how did Trump tell us? Well, he had a interview with this man where they talk about being brothers in Christ. And then he's like, oh, you're talking about the Brotherhood. Oh, as far as that, I've been in the Brotherhood since such and such year. Talking to the man. It's not talking about Christ. Also, he tells you with this. Here's the presidential seal behind Trump making a speech. Does this not look awfully suspicious? This is the Scottish Rite bird. This is your right wing, left wing of the two-headed bird. Right here. He's telling you who he is. He's part of the Scottish Rite. And, not only you have Trump part of it, you also have other people. I mean, there's 33 all over the place on the video. There's 33 with Kash Patel. We call him at 33 hours and 33, and it was less than 36, but it's 33. See you in Valhalla, brother. And you also have this fella here, Bill Ackman, who's going to give money to Matt Robertson. It's now up to $1.5 million. And he's a Freemason. How do you know he's a Freemason? Well, he donates to this Pi Kappa Phi fraternity, which is a Freemason society. He's a part of it. He's a founding member of it. Not a founding member, but a huge member of it. A huge donation member of it. And he gives it to that Matt Robertson, who is a 27-year degree veteran of law enforcement. If you are in law enforcement in any sort of capacity, any kind of time, then you are a Freemason. They might have people who are out of the academy, who are plebes, who are norms, and then they get into the police force for a couple years, and if they do things the way they like it, they'll say, hey, fella, have you ever thought about becoming a Freemason? And then when they pass all the initiations, like spitting on Christ's face when they become a 9th degree Freemason, they'll be like, oh yeah, you can become a detective now. You want to be a detective? You want to be a lieutenant? They keep on rising up in the ranks. Anyone who has been in the police force for any length of time is a Freemason. And I'm going to tell you, you can put a Masonic symbol on the back of your vehicle and you won't get any speeding tickets. This is why. Now, you might, everybody's like, oh, Rose, this might be circumstantial and all that, but you still see, I also want to point this out. I pointed out that her grandfather was huge in the Freemasonry, Erica Kirk. But why she's got this G ring on? What's this G in the ring? Well, you notice they have that little G in the Masonic symbols, the little G, but right in the middle of the compass and square. They want to tell you it's the grand architect. Well, it isn't. It's God. And they say G, and they'll say, God is us. We are gods. That's, you eat this fruit, you'll be of God, be like gods. And they say G is us. G is us. Jesus. Jesus. That's why I don't say Jesus. I say Christ. They'll like to tell you, well, it's from a translation in the Spanish translation. I've looked at that. I don't see how they get it. It looks awful suspicious to me. That's why I don't say it. On top of that, oh wait, wrong one. Wrong picture. You also got this little doodad here. You got Candace Owens, who says she's a Mason in Turning Point, and she's got this hand symbol. And then you got Kurt over here with his little red wristband, his little Kabbalah representative wristband, that he can't wear a Kabbalah wristband until he's 40. But he's got this representation, but he's doing this other hand symbol. But that's not the triangle, Rose. Well, they have different little hand signals. Here's what Kurt's doing, and then here's what Candace is doing. There are different symbols, but they have to tell you the same thing. He's all right with Freemasonry. Hey, they might be right. They could be right. They're right. But Freemasonry is a religion. It's a cabal magic religion of Lucifer. So all you people are over here saying, oh, but he's such a good man. He's such Christianese. How do you explain all this stuff? His wife and this, and Trump and Candace, and they're all Freemasonry stuff, and symbolism is all over the place. Just because a person says they are Christian doesn't mean they're Christian. And you guys need to just open your eyes and quit making decisions based on your feels. Because somebody speaks Christianese doesn't mean they're Christian. Use your thinking brains. Use your cognitive abilities. And look at this stuff. This is all suspicious, and it's all been scripted. And like I said before in the first of the video, by the time you realize you're oppressed, are you going to be worrying about if it's a right boot or a left boot? Because it's coming, folk. The oppression is coming. That Third World War script is getting ready to be played out. And you need to come out of it. And the reason I'm telling you about this with Charlie Kirk, you don't need to be putting this man on sainthood or elevating him as a big A apostle, which is what I saw a preacher on Newsmax doing, saying he's a big A apostle and he's a prophet. You guys need to come out of this stuff, and you need to realize it before it's too late. Anyway, folks, I want to put this out. And as always, please read that scripture. Have a fantastic day.